Malaysia's image improving. Myanmar junta extends state of emergency. Welcome to Updates at Noon. I'm Renee Fong. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim says Malaysia's image is improving and it is recognised on the world stage because of its good governance, strong policies and political stability, which in turn leads to more foreign investment. He said this was, among others, proven when Tesla Incorporation Chief Executive Officer Elon Musk decided to discuss with him personally his commitment to set up its headquarters in Cyberjaya this year.
Nama kita naik balik di mata dunia. Itu penting, saudara. Hidup kita ni apa? Maruah. Negara kita ni ada integrity, respected by the international community. Betul, saya melawat ni sekat ASEAN saja dengan negara China. Belum pernah seorang Perdana Menteri diundang ke sidang antarabangsa dan lawatan luar negara sebanyak yang diundang sekarang kepada kita. Sebabnya apa? Sebab sekali lagi negara aman, politik stabil, kawan-kawan kita sepakat untuk jaga negara, dasar ekonomi jelas, ekonomi barang ni kita umumkan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The government aims to reduce the rural poverty rate to below 10% by next year. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said that the current rural poverty rate was 12% compared to 12.9% in the previous year. Datuk Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid, who is also Rural and Regional Development Minister, said the hardcore poor rate in rural areas also dropped from 0.9% in 2019 to 0.7% last year.
Azam kita pada tahun ini 2023 dan tahun hadapan ianya akan berada di tahap 1 digit, artinya tidak berada di tahap 10% ke atas. Ya. Ini azam dan azam ini harus diikuti dengan beberapa usaha. Ya. Begitu juga kita lihat dari segi program peningkatan pendapatan di mana program peningkatan pendapatan ini, ya, di mana kumpulan miskin tegar, miskin dan juga yang berada di kumpulan B40 ya, agar dapat dibantu untuk menjana pendapatan.
In terms of the programs, the government has an income-raising program involving an allocation of 12 million ringgit. Through this program, the hardcore poor and B40 groups can be helped, and as many as 70% of the participants in this program have been able to increase their income by more than 30%. Other programs include Program Latihan dan Kemahiran Kerjaya (PLKK), Program Desa Lestari and Projek Bersepadu Pembangunan Ekonomi Kampung (Prospek). Meanwhile, Datuk Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid said that improvements to the Aboriginal Peoples Act 1959 is expected to be completed latest by mid next year.
Libat urus telah dilakukan dan kita mensasarkan selewat-lewatnya pada pertengahan tahun hadapan apabila sidang parlimen diadakan. Ini perlu kerana kita mahu bukan saja Jabatan Pegawai Negara tetapi pihak-pihak yang berkepentingan harus terlibat supaya ditangani, kerana kita mahu akta yang ditambah baik ini akan boleh diguna pakai untuk mungkin 50 tahun akan datang.
He added that the amendments and improvements to the Act will also be in line with the current circumstances in Malaysia. Previously, it was reported that the Aboriginal Peoples Act 1954 will be amended to improve customary aspects. This involves land ownership, marriage registrations, as well as birth of an orang asli child. Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Syari launched the Kita Selangor Manifesto offering 5 key pledges to the people of Selangor should they be chosen to lead the state for the next 5 years.
Sebenarnya 5 tekad ini merupakan tawaran kita kepada rakyat negeri Selangor bagi kerajaan perpaduan mengetuai serta mentadbir negeri Selangor untuk tempoh 5 tahun mendatang.
The key pledges are having a superior economy and quality education as catalysts for high-income employment opportunities, religion as a beacon and inspiration for a dignified life in Selangor, as well as good and efficient government services. Furthermore, he pledged for development that is sustainable, comfortable and livable, and Selangor being a compassionate state that defends the people's interests. Datuk Seri Amiruddin officiated the program pelancaran tawaran Kita Selangor 5 Tekad untuk 5 tahun at Dewan Raja Muda Musa Shah Alam last night. Coming up next, news reporting on suicide needs to be prudent. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah and Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Aziza Aminah Maimunah Iskandariah graced the Pesta Kuantan 188 Festival last night. Accompanying them was Pahang Regent Tengku Hassanal Ibrahim Alam Shah Al-Sultan Abdullah and other members of the royal family. Also present were Pahang Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Wan Rosdi Wan Ismail and other state leaders, Infinity Indah Group President and Chief Executive Officer Datuk Omar Narish Mohan and Kuantan 188 Managing Director of Datuk Zulkifli Muhammad. The ceremony was also enlivened with a cake cutting event in conjunction with Their Majesty's birthdays, which fall on 30th July and 5th August respectively. It also featured a martial arts display and singing performances by Datuk Sri Siti Nurhaliza, Chakra Khan, Manbai, Ameng Spring, Aizat Amdan, Aisyah Retno, Santesh and comedian Harith Iskandar. The Pesta Kuantan 188 Festival, which took place over 3 days beginning Saturday, also featured the Royal Pahang Dragon Boat Race, talent and cultural performances, fun run and sales booths. The King took the opportunity to meet with the thousands of people that came to the event. Media practitioners are not prevented from reporting about suicidal behaviour, but it needs to be prudent and sensitive. Deputy Health Minister Lukanisman Awang Sauni said the Ministry of Health MOH has prepared prudent reporting guidelines regarding suicidal behaviour, including the avoidance of displaying the name and picture of the victim and not detailing the manner of suicide. He explained that unsafe suicide reporting can also cause trauma to readers, especially those who know the deceased and individuals who are at risk of suicide.
Pihak KKM ingin menekankan bahawa tiada halangan untuk kita membuat penulisan berkaitan tentang kes ataupun kejadian bunuh diri. Cuma kita menekankan dan juga memohon ihsan daripada pengamal media untuk kita menggunakan penulisan yang berhemah ataupun guideline yang telah kita gariskan dan juga buku panduan yang kita berikan kepada pengamal-pengamal media.
Meanwhile, there is a twofold increase in suicide cases among teenagers aged 15 to 18 years old, which is highly concerning. The MySafe program launched yesterday is an initiative in the form of affirmative action to strengthen the implementation of prevention activities against suicidal behaviour at the national level. On another matter, Lukanisman said the MOH has confirmed that there was an incident of food poisoning involving 24 students of Sekolah Kebangsaan SK Cyberjaya on 27th July. According to Lukanisman, all 24 students who had food poisoning symptoms such as diarrhea had recovered and returned to school.
Kita telah menerima insiden tersebut pada 27 Julai dan juga siasatan telah dilaksanakan dan juga kita dapati sebanyak 24 orang pelajar telah dilaporkan mengalami kejadian keracunan makanan, ceret-beret dan juga simptom-simptom.
However, Lukanisman did not reveal whether the food source from the canteen led to the cause of the food poisoning. Speaking to reporters after officiating the Malaysia Suicide Awareness Voice of Hope MySafe program yesterday, Lukanisman said the ongoing investigations were being carried out according to the provisions under the Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases Act 1988, Act 342. This includes closing the school's canteen until 10th August. In a foreign segment, $11 million in drugs found hidden in white goods in Chile. Myanmar's National Defence and Security Council agreed to extend the country's state of emergency by 6 months, state media said, likely delaying elections the junta had pledged to hold by August. Acting President Min Sui announced the decision to prolong the state of emergency declared when the generals toppled Aung San Suu Kyi government in February 2021 for another 6 months. The state of emergency was due to expire at the end of July, but on Monday, the junta-stacked National Defence and Security Council met to discuss the state of the nation. Min Sui told the meeting that the state of emergency period would be extended another 6 months starting from 1st August. The junta had previously promised fresh elections in August of this year, but in February it again extended to emergency ordinance, a day after its National Defence and Security Council said the situation in the country had not returned to normalcy yet. According to the country's constitution, extending the state of emergency pushes back the date by which elections must be held. Members of the United Nations Security Council urged Russia on Monday to withdraw its troops from Ukraine's internationally recognized territory. Ukraine's representative, Kristina Havovichin, said Russia's actions pose a substantial threat to stability in the region and worldwide. The White House is criticizing senior Russian defense official Dmitry Medvedev's comments suggesting Russia may resort to nuclear weapons if Ukraine is successful in its counteroffensive. A National Security Council spokesperson called the rhetoric reckless and irresponsible. So far, the spokesperson said the U.S. has not seen any indications Russia is preparing to turn to nuclear weapons. Meanwhile, Ukrainian officials said a Russian missile strike on the southern Ukrainian city of Kryvyi Rih on Monday killed at least 6 people, including a 10-year-old girl and her mother, and wounded dozens of others. Kiev, which has received billions of dollars worth of equipment and training from Western countries to mount its counteroffensive to recapture occupied territory this summer, has acknowledged that its campaign is unfolding more slowly than expected. Commanders say the deliberate pace is needed to avoid high casualties. The Russians have had months to prepare their fortifications and sow minefields. The Ukrainian attackers lack the air superiority that their NATO allies normally expect in their training drills. In another development, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Monday's Russian strikes that hit the residential and the university building in Kryvyi Rih, the steel city where he grew up, was far from the front line. He described the attack on his hometown as terrorism and added that more than 350 emergency and communal services workers were involved in the rescue operation.
Сьогодні о 7 вечора завершено рятувальну операцію в Кривому Розі на місці удару російських ракет. Це були 2 ракети «Іскандер», балістичні ракети проти житлового будинку. В одному під'їзді зруйновані поверхи з 4 по 9, просто проти цивільних людей, звичайних людей, проти дітей. Це тероризм, який ніхто в світі не назве інакше. Станом на цей час відомо про 6 загиблих, серед них дитина, дівчинка, її звали Дар'я. Їй було лише 10 років. Разом з нею загинула її мама.
Smoke billowed from a gaping hole smashed in the side of a 9-story residential building, and another 4-story building was almost leveled. Emergency services said at least 43 people had been wounded. In a related development, Ukraine and Croatia have agreed on the possibility of using Croatian ports on the Danube and the Adriatic Sea for the export of Ukrainian grain. Russia quit the UN-brokered Black Sea grain deal this month, depriving Ukraine, a global producer, of a vital conduit to safely export its agricultural products during the war. After talks with his Croatian counterpart, Grilic Radman, Ukraine Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba said they would work together to establish the most efficient routes to these ports and make the most of this opportunity. He said every move to unblocking export and every door opened was a real effective contribution to the world's food security. Ukraine currently relies on land export routes via the European Union, as well as an alternative route via the Danube River. Russia attacked infrastructure along the latter route earlier this month. Kuleba said the main subject of his talks with the Radman were weapons, adding that there were specific agreements that will be implemented soon. Over $10 million worth of illicit drugs were seized by police in Chile after they were found hidden in white goods. The bust was part of a 2-month operation in the port city of Valparaiso, Chile. According to officials, Chilean security forces seized 184 kilograms of ecstasy pills hidden in 7 appliances. According to Chilean Interior Sub-Secretary Manuel Monsalve, the drugs had reportedly come from Holland, and the street value of the illicit substances is estimated to be about $11 million.
Es una incautación tal vez la más grande en el caso de Sudamérica en materia de drogas sintéticas y particularmente de estas. Estamos hablando de una incautación que tiene un valor aproximado de $11 millones, cerca de 9.000 millones de pesos, son 184 kilos que se incautan de estas, si uno lo lleva a dosis, son 521.000 dosis, que traen en este caso drogas sintéticas desde Europa, una operación que parte en Holanda, sigue en Amberes y termina aquí en Chile.
8 residences were raided as part of the bust. 5 Colombian citizens were taken into custody, as well as the seizure of other drugs, a handgun, and vehicles. Mexico takes in nearly $60 billion a year in remittances, mostly from the U.S., making them a pillar of household spending in the country that is now one of the biggest beneficiaries of cash transfers worldwide. But emergence of the phenomenon known as the super peso means those dollars no longer go as far as they did, driven by higher interest rates in Mexico that have made the very liquid peso attractive to international investors. The currency has risen by around 14% against the dollar so far this year, outperforming most of its international peers. President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador has plowed billions of extra dollars into welfare programs and encouraged his compatriots to keep sending greenbacks to Mexico. That has made consumer spending a bulwark of growth since the pandemic ended, but pressure on remittances risks sapping domestic demand and squeezing some of the poorest households. Surveys also showed that gross domestic product growth is due to slow this year and next year from around 3% last year. Up in sports, Dato' Misbun claims there's no mutual agreement to part ways with BAM. Dato' Misbun Sidek claimed that he has never agreed to step down as the National Junior Development Director, contrary to BAM's announcement last Friday. In a twist of events, the 63-year-old Dato' Misbun also expressed his disappointment over his dismissal by the BAM task force led by Deputy President Dato' V. Subramaniam. Dato' Misbun felt that he should have been allowed to see out his contract until the end of the year and be given the chance to make amends at the World Junior Championships in the United States.
Saya seolah-olah dipertanggungjawabkan untuk seluruh Asian Junior ni. Padahal saya hanya menjaga tim single junior. Tapi kenapa pula saya yang menjadi sasaran? Padahal daripada soal bergu pun tidak berjaya.
However, Dato' Misbun said he would not dispute BAM's decision in ending his contract and will move on from the bitter episode. He will continue coaching locally and focus on programs with his club, Nusa Masuri. Brazil midfielder Fabinho has joined Al Ittihad from Liverpool on a 3-year deal, as the Saudi club confirmed the matter on Monday. Financial details were not disclosed, but British media reported the Saudi Pro League champions, known as Tigers, paid £40 million for the 29-year-old. Al Ittihad posted a video on messaging platform X, formerly known as Twitter, with the title "Tigers are permitted to pass," in reference to media reports suggesting the deal might be delayed due to the breed of Fabinho's dogs, which are prohibited from entering Saudi Arabia. Fabinho became a fan favourite over the course of his 5-year spell with the Reds, playing a key role in Jurgen Klopp's side tasting success on the domestic and international stage. His exit marks the end of an era at the club, with Liverpool also waving goodbye to fellow long-serving midfielders such as James Milner and Jordan Henderson. Fabinho will join Ballon d'Or winner Karim Benzema and former Chelsea midfielder N'Golo Kante at the Jeddah-based club. Hinata Miyazawa grabbed 2 goals to become the tournament's leading scorer as former champions Japan put on a counter-attacking clinic to beat Spain 4-0 and lock up top spot in Group C at the Women's World Cup. Striker Rico Ueki also scored on the break as the Nadeshiko cut through Spain's high press with 3 lightning raids in the first half before substitute Momoko Tanaka added the 4th with another quality strike 8 minutes from time. Japan, winners of the 2011 World Cup and runners-up in 2015, will remain in the New Zealand capital to play Norway in the last 16 on Saturday, while Spain will move north to Auckland to face Switzerland earlier on the same day. Both teams had already qualified for the knockout stage after convincing wins in their first 2 group matches, and Japan coach Futoshi Ikeda made 5 changes to his side for the clash at Wellington Regional Stadium. Hayley Raso scored a brace and Mary Fowler struck after the break as Australia crushed Canada 4-0 on Monday to storm into the last 16 of the Women's World Cup and send the Olympic champions spinning out of the tournament. The Matildas needed a win against Canada to keep their World Cup campaign alive, and they could not have had a better result. It was dubbed the Group of Death. Nonetheless, the Matildas topped Group B, the first time they have done so at a World Cup. In Melbourne's rectangular stadium, Raso struck in the 9th minute with a low right foot shot and doubled up in the 39th from a goal-mouth scramble as unused captain Sam Kerr cheered on the touchline. Fowler made sure of the win in the 58th minute before Steph Catley slotted home a penalty in stoppage time. After the match, Australia's coach Tony Gustafsson said the team followed an order from injured captain Sam Kerr to win the match without her so she could buy time to recover from her calf strain. Canada bowed out at the group stage for the first time since 2011, with coach Bev Prisman admitting that Australia were the better team. Netherlands coach Andries Jonker reiterated that they would not fear playing Sweden in a potential Women's World Cup round of 16 clash, but would prefer avoiding them by finishing as Group E winners. The US and Dutch are level on 4 points, but the Americans sit top on goal difference before they play Portugal, with Netherlands facing Vietnam later today at the same time. The Group E runner-up could next face Sweden, who currently lead Group G after a 5-0 hammering of Italy. The Netherlands finished runners-up at the 2019 World Cup, having beaten Sweden in the semi-finals before losing to the US. Vietnam are already out of contention for the knockouts, and while Portugal can still qualify with an unlikely win over the Americans, the US and Netherlands will be favourites to advance, with goal difference set to decide the top spot. And that concludes today's edition of Updates at Noon. In our top story, political stability, strong policies, good governance enhanced Malaysia's image on world stage. And we leave you with visuals from the 40th Annual New Jersey Lottery Festival of Ballooning, which features mass ascensions of hundreds of balloons, in addition to music, entertainment, and a drone light show. Till then, I'm Renee Loretta Fong, Malaysia Madani, tekad perpaduan penuhi harapan. Thank you for watching.